Nope, we're gonna talk to this guy.
Good.
Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me.
What?
I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean.
Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see.
Sorry?
The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime. Very funny.
Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke.
He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty.
You might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. Though, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all?
Yet, of course not. Now back to corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you.
Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered.
Alright, let's talk to the suspiciously tall man.
Excuse me. Excuse me? Do you have a moment?
Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation.
Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly.
Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. Ah!
What exactly were you doing in Kazuma's desk just now?
Ah, I see. Fascinating.
Sorry. What do you see? I feel like he's looking right through me.
Oh yes, everything is clear now.
Something penis joke.
The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my god.
Sorry? What?
And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament.
Oh, well, that's true at least.
But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining.
Hey, Stewie.
Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And, when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes.
Bullshit.
Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you?
Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name?
I only see one person who fits the bill.
So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama.
What?
And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behaviour, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked.
No, listen, there's no way...
Hiya!
Fucking god.
Now explain yourself. Tell me everything.
This is ridiculous!
Everything. Oh boy.
You're a fucking idiot.
How could you do it?
Pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously.
Oh, forgive me.
As for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head.
Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not?
Well, yes, maybe.
Ha! There you have it, you see. What do you make of that,
To be honest, ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction, it's more plain observation.
Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right.
I don't think you introduced yourself.
Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Herlock Sholmes. So, it's really you, the actual Herlock Sholmes. The very same. The inimitable actual Herlock Sholmes.
The real fraud. Do you know this man, Susato-san?
The most famous detective in the world? Weird. Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him.
What planet have I been living on, then?
We must ask him what is deduced. He'll have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure.
Really? I don't feel uneasy about this.
Oh boy.
So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again?
Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it?
No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rance magazine, full of wonderful short stories and insert articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially.
Ah, yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So you're the protagonist in a series of short stories, then?
Indeed I am.
You've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective.
Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward.
Backward?
My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine.
You have a biographer, do you?
Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London.
Dr. Wilson?
I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown.
Is this pose?
I don't know, but I love it.
Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not.
Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science?
Really?
The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data.
Right.
And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago.
How can you look me in the eye and claim that?
This guy's such a fucking fruit.
What?
So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes.
Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet?
Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Ah, I see. In other words... And these now because of him.
When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 facts were immediately apparent to me.
Really? 2 facts, you say?
Oh boy.
Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please! 2 facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning.
Ah yes, but first let us be precise. The 2 facts in question were immediately apparent to me.
Yes, I understand, but what were they?
Allow me to elucidate. The 2 facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following his dispute with an acquaintance.
Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian?
Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor.
Wardrobe.
Garderob. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian.
Kazuma was Russian, was he?
Initially, I considered Garderob may be the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps?
God.
But in the interests of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. But he found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly.
That doesn't sound like a setup at all.
Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer.
Why is it that I'm Russian too?
I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. If my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea.
I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong.
What do you fucking shoot him?
I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details.
Put him out of his misery.
Yes.
This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed.
Yes. Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, yes, thank you. So when he died, the gravity in his headband died with him. I'll ask you something, Mr. Sholmes.
What, pray?
You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that.
Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth.
Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Konechno?
Konechno? Okay. Konechno! Certainly, if it interests you.
Believe it means correct.
Okay.
How many times? I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Except for the fact that I just did. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean.
Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in.
Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part?
Ah yes, the most sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads... Revolutionary Vilen Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered.
Since when was Kazuma a Russian?
It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded that he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor.
Well, he was Russian to England.
God damn it. It was a simple act of reasoning to realise that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, Vilen Bolshevik.
No, how could it be me? Don't look anything like this man, just look at his face.
Well, you're a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well.
Fuck this guy. Ugh, please.
And, might I add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more?
Oh, that's because I'm a stowaway.
What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do you revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder?
What about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan?
Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan.
Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place.
Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento for this great deduction.
Oh, thank you.
I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby.
How gracious of you.
Like villain Bolshevik. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well.
On the back?
Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need
his
someone
name's
to interpret.
Literally villain.
And then Bolshevik, yeah.
All written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it.
Let's try it though. Well, something about a girl.
With a sting face.
Are you like
Weird.
With a what face?
This is interesting.
Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san?
Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting.
I can't read a single word, I'm afraid.
No, nor can I. But look at this picture. This is about a beautiful young Russian princess. Do you think?
She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you?
I don't know. I can't make any sense of it.
Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents.
Thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes.
It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova.
Why are Russian names so hard to remember?
It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles.
Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles?
I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money.
Sato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves.
The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry.
Yes, I'm not surprised.
The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country?
It does seem to be the Russian thing to do.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright. Missing ballerina. Got it.
But I suppose it wouldn't hurt to just glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Pretend we haven't done it already. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you?
Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all?
Oh, that traditional Russian name, Kazuma?
Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text.
London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but... I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people.
Tragic! And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading.
You mean you've read it already?
It's my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is.
Or not.
Sato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns?
I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean?
Life is so unfair.
God damn it. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details.
Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese.
A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed.
What is nado nado?
I don't know. But this diary is littered with complicated looking characters, of which I can read precisely none.
So what was all that showing off about before then?
If you would be so kind as to show me, I'd be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound.
Whistling sound?
These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Speckled band? What on earth does that mean?
I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin.
Yes, the adjoining cabin. Final door
So,
of this guy.
I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough.
Do you think perhaps that we could go with you?
No, that would be somewhat complicated.
What? But why?
A simple glance at your wrists should reveal the answer.
Oh, these.
After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter, no?
There's no point in trying to turn this into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place.
Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point.
What?
You must be joking! You just said it only a moment ago!
Dear me, you're clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really.
So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are.
Well,
DID
anyway.
Or something.
Well, anyway, that was then and this is now.
What do you mean?
What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, you must play the part more convincingly! Roll over and accept your fate!
Well, he's just being plain rude. Off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name.
Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for?
Huh?
We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well.
Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? That way I can...
Hiya! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate?
Ugh. If you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we start some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door.
Good idea.
Situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice.
No, I think I've searched everything in here.
Is that?
Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san?
Oh, no, it's just that... that crewman standing by the door. I don't feel like I've seen him somewhere before.
Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. I'll give this a steak, I guess.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Oh,
Not-
never fucking
yeah.
mind.
He's gonna be undercover in every case.
What can I do for you?
I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is!
I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga.
Hello again.
What are you doing here?
I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped.
Nearly stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope.
I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship.
Again?
You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector.
If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask.
I've expected to see this man on board. Perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation.
Alright.
So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector?
Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? Because he's undercover, dude.
Huh? I'm so sorry.
Hmm?
It's all my fault. I take full responsibility.
For the killer? For what?
My orders were to act as a Sogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. He trusted me with ensuring that Asagi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated.
Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility?
I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities.
This is incredible.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated?
Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew.
I see.
I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night every day. But I never imagined it would happen here inside his own cabin, not here on the first class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I am a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize.
Inspector.
So, is anything at all that I can do to help now? Just say the word.
Doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves.
I thought you might be. You didn't do it, though, did you? You're not the killer.
Of course not.
We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door.
Yes.
Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin.
But I'm sorry.
What?
You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door. That stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two.
Alright, clip that, guys.
What?
Now you have Ben saying that word.
What?
Don't worry.
Okay.
I suppose.
Oh shit.
Trying to steal my lines.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well.
Shit. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive.
What do you mean?
If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to.
But
But
I don't
I
see
don't-
how.
There may be a way.
What? Really?
Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession.
Evidence.
It's just the
What's
same
that?
as when you're in court. You must have done... Court. I don't know how Scots would say court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use.
So, evidence that will give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Right? Yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to
I'm
persuade
gonna
the
be
captain.
so fucking mad if we get a clearer listen to her voice in another cutscene. It's just not supposed to be Scottish or Northern at all, and it's, you know, something completely different. I just fucked it up again. Right, anyway,
Already forgot what you sounded like.
let's see. Yes.
What's that?
It's Kazuma's diary.
Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Diary? Yeah.
Diary.
Strange. In what way?
He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Speckled band. That is strange.
Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is...
Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it?
You're very astute, Inspector.
That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin.
That's right. So if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what that speckled band was.
Alright, I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to trust the investigation to you.
Really? You're willing to do that?
Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though.
What about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders?
Man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Osagi-san safe. This is the least I can do.
Thank you.
Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last.
Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out.
I only have 4 moves.
Alright.
We call it a session here.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I guess so. I'm a little worried about if we inspect this for, maybe 20 minutes and then it calls a chapter break, but... Okay. Well, we can just be done here, that's fine. I can cut it in half.
Yeah.
How the hell do I save from here? Options? Yeah. Haven't had to save outside of when it suggests it in a while. Okay.
Next time.
Yep, next time we'll investigate the adjacent cabin and see what other clues we can find there about
Next
Kazuma
time, we'll
Sama's
find the
untimely
snake.
murder. Yep. See you then.
Indeed.